Did I make everyone else's Alexa get started as I'm speaking to Alexa as we start? But all right, everyone, welcome to our team call this week. I am so excited about this particular call. And I know we normally have our calls later on in the day, so thank you all for adjusting and being willing to get on a little earlier and tuning into the recording, as I know many listen to the recording. But we have a special guest tonight on our team call. Luigi is someone that I met in some of the meetings with corporate for the Coach Advisory Board. He was introduced to us in September, and he came in, and I loved hearing his background, his story, and how he had always admired Shakeology and could see, even as he was working in another network marketing business, that what we had was special. And I feel that he kind of secretly wanted to come over to us. It was the impression that I got. And so I think he was excited to come here, and I can see that corporate was so honored that he would come, and I have been nothing but impressed with him. He is a doctor background, has studied at UCLA. He's a family man, married, has kids, 2 kids, and just spending time with him, talking with him, I can tell you that this is a good man who cares about us as coaches and what we are experiencing. We were in the car together, headed back to the airport as we were at Sundance, and I felt I couldn't ask him a single question about him because he was so interested in me and this other coach in the car, asking us a question after another question, that he was just genuinely interested in what we do as coaches and trying to find how he could add value and what he could do differently, that he just genuinely cares. And so as he offered that he would be willing to do a call, I was like, oh, you be careful what you say, because I will totally take you up on that, because I knew you guys would love to hear from him. So Luigi, I am going to turn the time over to you and let me come over here and unmute you. But we are so honored to have you on, and I can tell I unmuted you. Had a slight echo there. But if you want to take it from here and kind of share your feelings and everything about these products that we offer, but I know some background on you. I know everyone's interested in knowing more about you that I obviously did not have the information to share. So if you want to share a little bit of your story, I think that'd be great as well. So passing it over to you.
Yeah, so it's a pleasure. Hopefully you guys can hear me okay. You can see me okay. It's interesting. When I took this job months ago, Brigida, I'd never had a light in my office, and I'd never had really a camera because we didn't do these Zoom calls before. I was always on a webinar or a phone call. So it's a real pleasure. So hello to all of you. This is really cool. I see like so many of you with your kids, or I see someone working out on their treadmill. I love the fact that everyone can do things in their home and still be in this beautiful communication network. So my name is Luigi. As Brigida said, I met her in Vegas for the Coach Advisory Board meeting in leadership in 2017. And then we recently had the Utah meeting. And I think it's really important for the coaches, and if there are any customers, but really coaches on this call, for you to understand that the Coach Advisory Board are the liaisons between you and the corporation. I work for the company, and I'm a family medicine doctor. I'll tell you about in a second. But the CAB, the Coach Advisory Board, is so important because they are your voices. So they fight for you, I can tell you, because I've been in a couple sets of meetings already, and they voice your opinions, your concerns, and most importantly, your business concerns. So it's really powerful that you have folks like Brigida, and I'm very honored to be on this call, and I'd be happy to do as many more calls as you guys like throughout the year. So quick update on me, little history so that this doesn't get boring. I am born and raised in Los Angeles. I went to UCLA, as you mentioned. I did an undergraduate in physiology. I wanted to do physical therapy and sports medicine because I was on the track team and I ran cross country, and I was like, I'm going to be working at a clinic on the beach and taking care of athletes. That didn't quite work out. I actually went into medical school, kind of the more boring route. but because my mentor talked me into it here at UCLA. And UCLA is like literally 10 minutes away from the corporate headquarters here at Beachbody, here in LA. So I did a master's in public health. I studied family medicine after I got my medical degree. And after I got that certification in board certification family, I did an additional year doing clinical nutrition. So my specialization was in family medicine, delivering babies, treating kids, seeing the elderly, managing diabetes, high blood pressure, things like that. And then also working in food supplementation and nutrition. As Brigitte mentioned, I also worked in the direct selling industry for 13 years. So I've worked with coaches like yourselves for years, working in training and helping to make the products. So I'm really excited to be here. I have been a big fan of Shakeology for many years, and mostly because of the ingredients. I'll get into that in a second. It's important you understand that I work for you. Collectively, many of you have joined Beachbody. You buy the products, you talk to people in your network, but you have to understand that you have people like myself, you have people like Carl, Isabel, Darren. We all work for you. That's our job full time, to help with your education, your edification, promoting the business, promoting the product. So I hope you understand that besides the amazing products and all the great fitness products, you also have corporate employees like myself. And this year, Carl wants us to be more accessible to you. So hopefully we'll be sort of available to you on calls, trainings, and you'll meet a lot more of not only the trainers, but also some of the doctors in the company. So I'll get into some of the questions. There's actually 4 quick questions, which I'll try and do, I'll put them in a nutshell, and then you guys can expand on the questions because I love an interactive Q&A. The first question, and I'm going to read them to you real quickly, and then I'll go through each of them. The first one is, what makes Shakeology different than other protein drinks on the market? And I'll get into that. The second question is, how does Daily Sunshine compare to a children's multivitamin? By the way, these are great questions that I think we need to talk about all the time. Third question is, what makes our pre-workout and recovery drink so special? And I love talking about that. And the fourth question is, what's the process of making Shakeology, and what are the steps taken to ensure quality? And I'm so happy because Isabel, I get to sit in on Darren and Isabel's calls, and that question came up last week or 2 weeks ago, so I have a wonderful answer for you guys, which I actually didn't know months ago. So let's kick it off with your first question, and feel free to jump in. This is super informal, but I want you to get as much as you can out of it. What makes Shakeology different than other protein drinks? And I've got a bag of Shakeology because when I did my first call, Carl Deichler came down to my office the next day and said, dude, you always got to have product in your hand when you're doing a call. You got to talk about products, feel the product. I'm a big fan of products, and I clearly consume them, but I wanted to talk about why I think the Shakeology is amazing. So first off, if you've heard Darren or Isabel on a call, they always will tell you Shakeology is not like a typical protein beverage. It's not a protein shake. You want to think of it as a blend, a premium blend of everything from the macronutrients to the micronutrients. So I'm going to start with the big stuff. The big stuff are the macronutrients, and those are your proteins, fats, and carbohydrates. I don't want you to have to write this down unless you're taking some notes, but to make it really simple, the large nutrients like protein do make us special because we use clean sources of protein, okay? There are almost 800 different shakes on the market that we compete with. The reason why we're so different is that we source really clean protein. The rice protein, the sacha inchi, all the stuff that Darren and Isabel look around the world for, it's clean protein. A lot of companies are using genetically modified corn, soy, wheat. It's bad stuff because not only is it a great protein, it's not the best protein source, but it's also sprayed with a lot of chemicals when they're growing that stuff. And those chemicals get into the finished product, not us. We use all these wonderful proteins like pea, sacha inchi, rice, chia, flax, even the whey, and we can guarantee the quality of those proteins when you look on the back of the label. So very important. Those are very cleanly sourced. Number two, more of the macronutrients, sugar. A lot of you are very concerned with sugar. You have kids. You talk to mothers. I know my wife doesn't like our 4-year-old or our son, who's turning 3 soon, to drink things that are high in sugar. So we look for low sugar items that are less than 10 grams per serving on the label. Shakeology, 7 grams of organic cane sugar. It's really important. So the next time someone says, hey, does Shakeology have a lot of sugar in it? You tell them no. It's only got 7 grams. Our cafe latte has 8 grams. It's the only blend with 8. But even if you take the 8 grams, it's only 32 calories. Tell your customer that's a third of an average size banana. Okay, it's a third of a piece of fruit. So when they say Shakeology's high in sugar, you say, that's not true. That's a myth. It's about a third of a piece of fruit, about 32 calories. That will hopefully end that discussion. But if not, tell them that we have a certified low glycemic index on all of the flavors of Shakeology. Now, what does low glycemic index mean? Not important to know the scientific terminology. It simply means that foods that are high in a glycemic index, like soda, table sugar, white bread, chips, candy bars, that means when you eat them, they go right into the bloodstream. So people get a big spike in their sugar. With Shakeology, the reason why we feel the sustained energy when we drink it is because it has a low glycemic index. That means a score of around 37 to 40. And that low score means we have a sustained energy. It gets into the bloodstream slowly, and it sort of slowly gets metabolized, and that's why you don't have to worry about a sugar spike. So it doesn't happen with Shakeology. The protein is clean. We have low sugar, third of a piece of fruit, and low glycemic index, okay? So I want to get to fats real quick, and then we'll talk about a little bit more of the blend. We've got very low fats in Shakeology. And we have just the right blend of the omega-3 fats, which a lot of you moms look for when you're shopping. That's the chia and flax, and the omega-6 fats. That comes from oat. We need those too because they're essential, but most of the customers that you're talking to when they're shopping, they're buying foods that are not in a 1-to-1 ratio. They're in a 30-to-1 ratio of the omega-6 fats. And what do these omega-6 fats do? They promote inflammation in the body. We think they're a big reason behind kids' attention deficit disorder, hyperactivity, diabetes, hypertension, lots of chronic diseases, is this imbalance in fats. What do we do in Shakeology? They're balanced. When they make the blend of Shakeology, they put it in a 1-to-1 balance. So once you have that for breakfast, you get a little bit of fats in the right blend. So think big nutrients, clean protein, low sugar, balanced fats. And then if we talk micronutrients, we talk about your vitamins and minerals. We talk about some of these interesting phytonutrients that Darren and Isabel love talking about. And just understand that when you're eating colorful fruits and vegetables, and you'll see pictures of all this cool stuff on the back of your label, those fruits and vegetables have pigments or colors that really help the human body. So those things that Darren's always talking about, the adaptogens, and the reishi mushroom, and the maca, and chaga, all this cool stuff, don't get too bogged down in the science. Just understand that fruits and vegetables have certain nutrients. When we eat them, they help to support the human body. So I always say, my son, who's turning 3 in May, drives me bananas. My daughter's she's like a blessing. She's like a gift from heaven. My son is insane. And I don't know what's wrong with him, right? He's getting better, but he's insane. So we try and give him, we give him low sugar products, lots of fruits and vegetables. But I would argue that the adaptogens and the unique blend that is in Shakeology helps me to feel better when I'm with my son. I can't, I can't put like one specific ingredient that Darren trains on, but it's something about Shakeology that I wake up in the morning, I'm like, hey, I'm ready to tackle the day and I'm ready to hang out with my kid, right? So, and he has been much better, I must admit. So macronutrients, micronutrients, they're really important. And of course, one of the things that sets us apart is the way they're blended together. You have to understand it's easy for companies to take protein and just scoop it into a tub and sell it for $10. It's really hard for a company, especially Beachbody, it's challenging to put the blend together, put a proprietary stamp on it. So we own this blend. You can't just take the ingredients and put it together in a pot and blend it together. We own the way you blend it, the timing of the blend, the certain ingredients, and the way they're packaged together. This is sort of like our secret sauce that no one in the industry has. So, to that first question, what makes Shakeology different than other protein drinks? It's the blend, the clean protein, the low sugar, the healthy fat ratio, that 1-to-1, and of course, all the adaptogens and phytonutrients and pre and probiotics that you hear Darren and Isabel talk about. So think about the unique blend. Only we have that blend. And the last thing I'll mention on this is a lot of the competitors, remember I mentioned there's about 800 shakes in the marketplace. We only have about 5 real competitors. And of those 5 real competitors, they don't have the unique blend that we do in the sequence that we blended it and the taste that we have. That's what really blows us, I should say, blows them, we blow them out of the water, right? And of course, we distribute through this unique network. You, the coach, you get to talk to people because other products sit on the shelf and they may pop for a second in a store, but then there's no coach to follow up, answer questions, get on a Zoom training call. So please understand, the shake is not just the cool ingredients and the unique proprietary blending, it's also the fact that it's sold through the network that you distribute. You're a big part of how unique the shake is. So I'll stop there. Brigitte, any questions on that first questions? Any Q&A or any feedback on that? Just want to make sure you guys are okay.
I'm watching the chat and everyone's just giving you compliments on how you explain this. You're rocking it. You can keep on going.
Okay, cool. Great. So, and by the way, you know, I know Carl likes to salute the 365ers, the people that drink 1 shake every day. Super impressive. I like to drink 2 shakes a day. I have one at 7 in the morning. I have one at 3:30. As a physician, I've been drinking shakes a long time. They're so important because you get this great nutrition, your daily dose of dense nutrition, and you're avoiding other junk throughout the day. So it really helps with my cravings, helps with my energy levels. I do 2 a day. So I'm not a 365er, I'm a 730er. But I want to encourage you to at least get 1 shake a day. It's so important to have your consumption of Shakeology. It just makes everything great. Number 2, how does Daily Sunshine compare to a child multivitamin? I thought this was a really unique question, and I don't know who submitted this, but it's actually really smart. They're all super smart, these questions. But what's cool is that when Isabel designed Daily Sunshine, she was very, very careful to make sure that it had certain things on the label. So you'll notice non-genetic modification, no GMO, soy-free. We don't do soy in anything in Beachbody, okay? We don't use soy. We don't use genetically modified proteins or genetically modified fats or genetically modified carbs, okay? We stay out of that business. That's really important because most of the companies that we compete with are not doing that, okay? You'll see that on their labels. Dairy-free, gluten-free, and certified organic. You'll see that on the label as well, if you see all these. What's really interesting is when you look on the back of the label, to your question, you'll notice the protein, the macronutrients, but the vitamins, sorry, I got a glare here. The vitamins, you don't see a whole lot of vitamins on the label. And the reason for that is very important. When Isabel designed this shake, she specifically wanted to make sure that kids were getting a lot of their vitamins from whole fruits and vegetables and whole foods. Because a lot of the vitamins, she believes if you're getting them from spinach, kale, carrots, cucumber, whatever you may add to your shake. My daughter loves when we put spinach in her Daily Sunshine. My daughter who's 4 1/4. Okay, so this is sort of Isabel's philosophy, making sure that kids can get their vitamins and minerals from whole foods, and it's really a philosophical change in terms of taking a multivitamin. Now, if you've got a young child who loves a gummy, who loves taking their chewable tablet, that's cool. Whatever works for you. We don't want to judge. The beauty of Beachbody is that it encompasses everyone, right? But it's important you understand the philosophy behind Daily Sunshine, the organic pea protein, the 3-in-1 smoothie, the healthy fats blend. You'll see that right at the top, 3-in-1 smoothie. The organic fruit and vegetable blend, right at the top on the label. These are the things that Isabel was super passionate about when she was making this blend. So to your question, what makes it different than a multivitamin? Most of the multivitamins are synthetic in the industry. That's how they're made. They're made in a laboratory, and they're not even really made from whole foods. When Isabel was thinking Daily Sunshine, she thought, let's make everything from organic fruits and vegetables, whole food based, and we're going to minimize the vitamins and minerals because I don't want to put a synthetic vitamin. Now, they're not bad. If you get a synthetic vitamin C, it's going to provide you with vitamin C, but she is truly a purist, and she wanted to make sure that kids are getting their vitamins from whole fruits and vegetables. Hopefully that makes sense. You guys give me a thumbs up if that's okay. Okay, cool. All right, great. Terrific. And again, kids are going to be eating, they're grazing throughout the day, having different types of snacks and fruits and vegetables, and if they eat meat or fish, they're going to be extracting all kinds of great vitamins and minerals. Okay, so one of my favorite questions, what makes the pre-workout and the recovery drink special? So this is, I would say this has been a huge surprise with the 80-day obsession explosion. I don't know how many of you are doing 80-day obsession. All right, I see the woo-woo. A lot of folks are on it. This is incredible. We weren't prepared for this explosion in sales with the Recover and the Energize and all this sort of the challenges we experience. It's great news, right, for business because you guys are selling a ton of stuff and you're using it. So let's talk about the products real quick. I'm going to start with Recover and Energize because these were the two that you were all buying so much of. So let's start with Energize. This is what I call one of our Beachbody's hit records, okay? Now, Energize is 100 milligrams of caffeine. If you think about getting a cup of coffee at your favorite coffee house, Starbucks, Coffee Bean, wherever you may go, your typical cup of coffee is about 100 milligrams, okay? If you like to drink energy drinks like Red Bull, Rockstar, Monster, they're about 100 milligrams of caffeine. The problem with a lot of those products, and I'm not knocking any of those companies, is that they throw in a lot of sugar, fats, and salt. That's why a lot of those products taste so good, is because they're loaded with sugars, fats, salts, and a lot of additives. We want to ensure that when we presented this product, Energize, it's 100 milligrams of natural caffeine, very important, natural caffeine, okay? And you may feel that tingle when you drink Energize. I don't know how many of you feel that tingle. That's from something called beta-alanine, which you're going to see on the label. Now, the beta-alanine is really cool. We would love you to feel the tingle, but the reason we really love the beta-alanine is because it converts into something into the body which buffers lactic acid, okay? And it converts into something called carnosine. And when you make carnosine, it goes in your bloodstream, and all that lactic acid that causes you to fatigue when you're doing 80-day obsession, you don't fatigue. So Autumn is saying, give me another rep, give me 9, 10, 11, 12, and you feel more energy. That's not just from the caffeine, that's from the beta-alanine, the thing that gives you the tingle. That's why it's so important when folks are loading up on their Energize before a workout, they not only feel a heightened sense of awareness, they also feel this wonderful ability to do more repetitions. That's the beta-alanine. I would also mention it's all natural, just like Shakeology, just like Daily Sunshine, no artificial flavors, no artificial colors, no artificial sweeteners, right? Super important. Even the color is from something called quercetin, which starts with a Q. You'll see it right there on the label, and that's what gives it that really strong, bright color. It's a natural coloring agent, which comes from fruits and vegetables, right? Comes from the plant kingdom, and it allows us to keep it really natural as a product. And the last thing I'll mention, one of my favorite ingredients, magnesium citrate with a C, like citric of magnesium. It's called magnesium citrate. This is when I knew that Beachbody was an awesome company. A lot of companies won't use magnesium citrate. Magnesium citrate is really well absorbed. It gets into the muscle tissue. It does 300 different reactions in the body. Helps your brain, helps your heart, helps your muscle, helps to relax, helps to stop cramping. But I knew Beachbody was awesome because a lot of companies do not use magnesium citrate because it's a really pure ingredient and it costs resources to put into the product. So that's a really good sign, magnesium citrate, which you'll see, you won't see that in a lot of exercise products. So the energy, the clean energy from clean caffeine, the beta-alanine, the quercetin for the natural food coloring, and the magnesium citrate. And of course, you can look on the label and you see why we can make those amazing claims. Okay, so is that thumbs up on Energize? You guys cool with Energize? 100 milligrams. Oh, yeah. Go ahead if you have a question.
No, you can finish your sentence. We do have a few questions that came up, but go ahead and finish your thought.
Okay, great. And I was just going to say, that's why you'll notice on the claims, it's improve intense exercise performance, increase energy and endurance, and sharpen focus and reaction time. We're allowed to legally make those claims because of the caffeine, which gives us the ability to do that. Now, 100 milligrams in one scoop, if you want to do 2 scoops, that's 200 milligrams. And I think that's recommended if you're over 160 pounds. But if you want to use 2 scoops, it's okay. I know that if you talk, if you're in Autumn's trainings, if you're in her test group, she has some pretty, I don't want to say restrictions, but she has recommendations on how many scoops. I think she prefers a 1 scoop over 2. So just make sure you find what works for you and dial it down or dial it up based on your personal needs. Okay. So I was going to stop there, Brigitte, if you had any questions on Energize.
Yeah. So we just have a few questions. One with addressing the formula change. And then the other question that is on here is about hydrate and Energize with the quercetin in it that I'm likely saying incorrectly. The question is there a cap on how much quercetin the body can absorb?
Yeah. So, okay, so absolutely no cap. So I'll start with the second one first and we'll go back. So yeah, absolutely no cap. And you had it right, the quercetin with a Q. No issues with it, because you want to think about what when Darren's talking about phytonutrients and he's out there in Peru and he's on his motorcycle and he's finding all these amazing fruits and vegetables, the reason why we love fruits and vegetables so much, there's really nothing toxic about them. I mean, you find the rare, weird toxic berries somewhere in some place on Earth, but you consider there's 300,000 different plant species. Out of those 300,000 plant species, we can eat about 20,000 different fruits, vegetables, and different plant forms. Of those 20,000 fruits and vegetable plant forms, we eat about 2 in the US and Canada and the UK. And there's potatoes and there are tomatoes. And the potatoes come from French fries that we overly consume in America, not us, because we drink Shakeology, right? And it's the tomatoes for the ketchup that we dip the French fries in. Of course, not us, because we're Beachbody enthusiasts. But this is your average customer. They have 20,000 fruits and vegetables to choose from, and most folks are eating 2 or 3 maximum, or maybe the lettuce on their cheeseburger. So Darren gets excited because fruits and vegetables don't really have a toxicity about them. They're what we call in the nutritional range. When you take a medicine, it's in the pharmaceutical range. And that's where we worry about dialing those down, making sure there's no toxicity. If you eat a bag of carrots and you have those 10 times a day, you might turn a little bit orange from the beta carotene, but there's no toxicity. So there's no issues with quercetin. It's totally fine. And there's no issues with having a little bit of the beta alanine. You might feel a little extra tingle, but we have just the right amount in there, so there's no toxic issue, okay? Next, I'll address the change on the label. Many of you have noticed, and I specifically have an old label here that says NSF. I'm going to talk about this first. NSF is a very old, traditional, very good company. They're a third-party organization. If you're going out to a restaurant this week and you go into the bathroom, if you look at the hand dryer, it's going to say NSF. If you go into any kitchen, whether it's in your house or you go into a restaurant, look on the washer, the dishwasher, it'll say NSF certified. NSF is a massive organization that certifies hygiene, cleanliness, hygiene, hand dryers, things that you use washing, and they also do substances like banned substances for nutrition. So we were using NSF to check for all the banned substances to make sure there's no doping agents in the product. We know we don't add any in the product, but we want to make sure that you, if you're working with a high school athlete, a collegiate athlete, if you're working with AYSO kids, a youth camp, whatever you're doing, or a pro athlete, we want you to look them in the eye and guarantee these products are clean, safe, and they're tested. So we used NSF. Now that we're branching into Canada and the UK, and probably in several years, we're probably going to continue to go into other countries, we needed a more international organization. So you're going to start to notice something called Informed Sport. That's IS, Informed Sport. They are just like NSF. They test for all the same things, all the banned substances that athletes have to be careful of, and they're widely recognized around the globe. So that's why you're going to see that NSF to Informed Sport change, and it's going to roll out gradually throughout probably April. So you're most likely going to see that in your April shipments, depending on what you order a lot of. Okay, that's one thing. A second thing is the change from the beet sugar to the organic cane sugar. And I know this caused a little bit of confusion, so we wanted to clear it up, and we did on Facebook, but we're glad you're asking. So beet sugar is tremendous, and we love beets, and beets are fantastic because they have a lot of great substances. But what we're noticing now is suppliers around the world are starting to use genetically modified beets, and they may not tell the company that they're supplying the sugar with. So let me say that again. Some suppliers are using genetically modified beets, and they may not tell the supplier that they're delivering the sugar to, because you can take a beet and you can make sugar into a powder, and then you can sell it to a company like Beachbody. So we wanted to make sure, as we're watching a lot of companies turn to beet sugar, and we don't know where it's sourced from, if it's genetically modified or non-GMO, we said, forget it. We're going to go directly to organic cane sugar so that we can guarantee the sweetener is organic and non-genetically modified. So very important to understand, Beachbody, really Carl, Isabel, Darren, they've always looked for ingredients that are non-genetically modified, but to ensure you guys don't have difficult conversations when you're talking to a customer, especially the smart, sophisticated ones, we switched to the organic cane sugar. Now, it shouldn't cause any changes in flavor. I know we had some issues with some batches that went out that some of you may have experienced, a little change in flavor, change in texture, or even in your drink, you may have noticed like a little hint of like a fruit and vegetable scent because they're natural ingredients in those products. So that was a batch issue, but it had nothing to do with the organic cane sugar, okay? And it had nothing to do with the NSF logo change. Just wanted you guys to understand. And we know that as you're getting your products, you're gonna notice that they should taste the exact same, look the exact same, have the same texture and everything. But you'll notice the switch from beet to organic cane and NSF to Informed Sport. So I want to take a moment, make sure that I know this was an important question. I'm glad you guys asked this. Any questions on that, Brigitte, or anyone?
No, you answered all of it, and I think there were no other questions on that. You answered that so much better than even the post that I had seen about it, so thank you.
Good, good. Glad. It's very important, and I think the most important thing is that you have confidence in the company that we're taking the right steps. So we really apologize for confusion on that because it happened so quickly, and the 80-day obsession spike was like, whoa, products were flying out the door, which is a great problem to have, but we didn't want to leave you without your answers. Okay. So recover, and I don't want to run, I want to be respectful of your time here because I love talking about products, but I know you guys scheduled 30 minutes, so I'm good with time, Brigitte, but I don't want to, you let me know when we need to stop. So here's your recover, here's your recharge, really important. Recover and recharge are very similar, but recover is, we usually want you to use this soon as you finish the workout, and there's a reason why. We use whey protein in recover, and whey protein gets absorbed very quickly. So as soon as you drink the recover, the speed at which that protein goes into your stomach, into the muscle tissue, is quick. It's almost like if I damage the wall behind me with a hammer, you want to have someone quickly pasting that wall and putting up some drywall up there. That's why recover is so great. Now we also put the pomegranate in recover, which is fantastic because you'll notice pomegranate on the label. And it's, let's see, where would you guys see that? Yeah, pomegranate extract in the muscle recovery blend. And pomegranate's really cool because it reduces your delayed onset of muscle soreness. So you take it right after you work out, you feel less soreness the next day, and you feel better to do another workout, like 80-day obsession, okay? So think recover, have it quickly after the workout, quickly repairs that broken muscle tissue, like if I punched a hole in the wall, and pomegranate helps with the muscle soreness. Recharge is a little bit different. Similar blend, but you want to think about recharge as having another dairy protein, not whey. It's called casein with a C. Casein is slower absorbed than whey. So the whey, if I punch that hole in the wall with a hammer, you quickly sort of put something on top, some drywall. Someone's going to be working behind the wall to put some new plaster, to put some new cement, to put some new wood, to strengthen the wall really strong while you're sleeping. That's what recharge does. The slowly absorbed casein is getting slowly absorbed into your muscle tissue while you sleep. That's why we want you to take it at night. And it's repairing that muscle tissue that you've damaged, whether you're doing 80-day obsession, working out in the gym, even if you're walking around stairs, if you're going around at work, you're damaging muscle tissue, okay? So that's why recover is fast with the whey, recharge is slower with the casein, okay? And we have the pomegranate in the recover for your muscle soreness, and we use something called tart cherry, which you're going to see on the label. And tart cherry also reduces the muscle soreness, okay? So think one's fast, one's slow. You can use them together because you get the quick and you get the delayed repair, and they have this beautiful complement, okay? So that's what makes us super unique, and soon we're going to be giving you clinical research to support it so you can show your customers why we're the best in the marketplace.
So interesting, and I love how you're breaking this down and explaining it. We do have a few questions regarding the performance lane. One of them is back to Energize, and the question is if the I'm not going to say it.
Yeah.
Do you eventually get used to it? Does your body adjust so that then the tingle goes away? Does that mean that the product's not working, not as effective? Do you need to always increase your dose? So that one's about Energize, and then the other one's for recover.
Oh yeah. And I could, if you want, I'll take the recover as well if you like, whatever.
Okay. The other questions with that are if there is plan to make a vegan recover, and if it's normal to feel bloated with the recover. There's people who are experiencing that, want to know if that's normal. And let me scroll and make sure I got all of the questions. And that is all of the questions. Oh, and one more. Sorry. Can you drink recover twice in one day? If you do 2 hard workouts, is that okay?
Yeah, great question. So maybe I'll start with number 3. It's a quick one. Absolutely, you can drink recover twice a day. The way I have 2 Shakeologies a day, I'll use recover as well. In addition, if I'm having a tough workout, because I really feel the whey protein. Now I haven't noticed bloating so much. I have noticed that if people are using, if they're new to recover, they may complain of a little bit of constipation. Whereas with Shakeology, Daily Sunshine, people are like, wow, I'm going poop, I'm going to the bathroom, digestive enzymes, they're keeping me going. So we don't have those in recover and recharge. So sometimes people who aren't accustomed to a protein load, like 20 grams of protein, they may tell you that they're a little bit constipated. So that may be one of the complaints you hear. It's pretty rare. I don't hear it a lot. Most folks say they feel amazing. And if they feel bloating, this is where I'll combine your questions with the whey and the vegan. If people do feel bloating with the whey, then we have definitely considered a vegan blend. I will put it that way. We have our scientists looking into it. Because remember, a lot of sports people want whey and casein. They're looking for dairy. But we, in this unique space in Beachbody, we have a tremendous amount of vegetarian, vegan, or clean label advocates. Even if they're not vegan, they want vegan labels because they're clean. So we are looking at a way to sort of deliver that. and there'll be more to come. So I can't say too much on that, but just know that we're definitely investigating how we could produce one of those shakes, like a vegan sports line. Okay, so that's one. In terms of if someone's really having some bloating issues, you can dial down the dose. You might want to cut it in half. They can do a small, like half a scoop, see if they do better with that. If they're absolutely having a tough time with dairy, with the whey, then perhaps you can consider a vegan Shakeology, because I'd hate for you to lose that customer, because they're going to get great benefits. Now, I would point out, you can educate that customer. Most people have lactose intolerance. That's a milk sugar. We do not put milk sugars in Recover or Recharge. So please tell your customers, if they say, I can't do dairy, quickly let them know we don't have lactose in the products. There's no milk sugar. And usually the folks who are using Recover and Recharge, even if they've had some issues with dairy, they do pretty well, because we have a very cleanly sourced whey and casein, and they don't seem to have allergies with it. So there's two things. Sugar intolerance, we don't have any lactose, don't have to worry about that. And there's allergies to whey proteins, and usually we don't see that with our consumers. So if they're feeling a little bloating, maybe dial down the dose in half a scoop, and try some other things. And of course, if they're gonna talk about quitting, maybe say, you know what, try Shakeology Vegan until we can investigate the vegan blend, okay? And your first question was on, I'm sorry, I already forget, Brigitte. What was your first question?
Just the tingles with Energize and that ingredient that I'm going to butcher if I try to say it.
Oh, yeah. So the beta-alanine, very important. It's a great question. Yes, some folks do get accustomed to caffeine. People who are habitual caffeine drinkers, they may notice that 1 cup of coffee did it for many years, and now they need to do 1.5 or 2 cups of coffee. So that is a natural process. The beauty of the human body is it responds and adapts to different things. Usually we notice with people who are using Energize, they usually feel the tingle in some way or another, and it doesn't completely go away. So yeah, if you're feeling like the tingle is kind of, you need like more Energize, that's okay. There's no danger, there's no issues. It's almost like if you're a coffee drinker and you went from 1 to 2 cups. Not a medical issue, not a health issue. In fact, Beachbody believes, and we recommend, that if you want to drink up to 400 milligrams of caffeine a day, it's totally safe. I can tell you from a medical perspective, that would be having like 4 scoops of Energize in one day. Now, we're not promoting that, but what I'm saying is that if someone did drink a lot of caffeine, it's totally fine. And so no issues with beta-alanine, and they may be adapting a little bit, but I don't see that a lot with our customers.
Okay, super helpful. No other questions.
Great. Okay. So I will do the last question you sent me was, what's the process of making Shakeology, and what measures are taken to ensure quality? Now, we had a very similar question for one of Isabel's calls, and I get to sit in on Isabel and Darren's calls because I'm like the new guy and I love listening to them, and they're so passionate, and I learned so much from them. You guys, I have to tell you, they're so dedicated to the product line. Like, they don't compromise on anything. Not that we want to compromise, but this is a business. And so there's a lot of other companies that they'll launch a product and they start to make the products cheap. They cut corners behind the walls of the company. That does not happen at Beachbody. I can assure you. And Darren, Isabel, and Carl, they are hardcore about putting value into the product. Okay, so please be confident that you have the premium of premium products. So in terms of the testing, this is why I knew when I heard this, like, wow, no one can compete with us. The first thing we do with Shakeology, and we do this with the Performance line and Daily Sunshine, we have to identify ingredients. So if we're talking about ashwagandha, if you guys have seen that Tony Horton video where he's doing the Shakeology checkout and he's going through all these funny exotic names, those names are really important because we have to make sure that companies are not selling us an ingredient and it's not in the bag. So we do what's called an identification in the warehouse where the ingredients we buy from. So we send our people in, we make sure that the ashwagandha is real ashwagandha. the Sacha Inchi is real. Okay, so that's the first level of testing. That's step one. It's called identification. A lot of other companies have been tested, and they're not putting in the bag what they claim on the label. So understand step one, identification. Step two is we ship all those ingredients to one place so that we can blend them together. You got to blend stuff together in the powder. It doesn't come pre-made. We blend it. We actually pay people to very specifically and scientifically blend it. Before it gets blended, we take a batch of ashwagandha, a batch of pea protein, Sacha Inchi. In each batch, we test 60 times to make sure the purity of the ingredients. Then we blend everything together, and and that takes about a day to do all these blendings and all this stuff. Once we blended everything together, we test each batch 300 times. Okay, I'll say it again. After the 60 times per batch, we test the finished batch 300 times. It is the best testing in the industry. I had never heard of another company that does this. It's phenomenal. That's when I knew our quality is second to none. So once we've done that, then we have to actually test for like the banned substances, like in your recharge and your recover. So we'll do another set of testing to make sure there's no excipients, heavy metals, banned substances. So by the time you guys get the finished product, it's so clearly tested so many times, literally thousands and thousands of individual tests have been done. So I didn't want to like bog you down with all this crazy science, but it gives me so much confidence that when I'm giving it to my 4-year-old daughter, she's drinking like the cleanest protein in the world. My wife, she loves drinking both Shakeology, and she sips on our daughter's Daily Sunshine. I just feel like, you know, everything we make is so clean, it's so high quality, and it's so good that you're going to notice your customers have these great benefits. So I get super excited about this, so I'm going to stop talking. I'll turn it back over to you, Brigitte, and I'll see if we have any questions on that.
I think everybody's just mind blown in hearing this. And honestly, as people are writing in the chat, like this whole call has been gold. I mean, just everything that you have shared has been so incredibly helpful and just broken down in the nuggets that we can absorb and, you know, just phenomenal. So thank you so much. Like, I mean, it was better than I even anticipated. I was expecting a really great call. So thank you so much. All right, we have one question that I saw here. Everyone, this is your final call to hurry and type in any questions. The one question I see is, are there any plans to add adaptogens into Daily Sunshine? And I feel like I know the answer to this, but I'd love to hear how you respond.
Yeah, so I love adaptogens. In fact, in working as a family medicine doctor in clinical nutrition, I would recommend a lot of adaptogens to my patients, and two in particular, cordyceps and schizandra, which we have in the products. And so they're tremendous. And, you know, adaptogens are kind of tricky because they've been used for literally hundreds, if not thousands of years, because they're plants and cultures have used them. And we know they've been used traditionally to manage stress. And that's why I joked about my son, my soon-to-be 3-year-old son, who's gone through the terrible twos, and he's sometimes just so hard to deal with. But I've noticed that I just feel better when I'm drinking my shake. And I would attribute that, personally, I believe, as a physician, to the blend, the unique blend, but the adaptogens, I think, really kind of help me just get through the day. I will say this, when we consider the kids' products, it's really important that we want to start with, and I go back to Daily Sunshine, something that's super pure, and adaptogens are amazing. But when we start to introduce too much complexity and elegance into Daily Sunshine, then it can be tricky to give it to a shake, give it to a kid as a shake, and it's difficult to license. So you probably anticipated this part of the question, the answer, Brigitte. It's difficult to license these products for children in countries if we're starting to use adaptogens. They're not unhealthy or they're not medically recommended, but a lot of those supplements are hard to get licensed in a sort of a kid's product. So that's the reason why we wanted to keep this sort of, I don't want to say clean and pure, but relatively straightforward with the ingredients we put in Daily Sunshine. And that's why we really focus on the organic, the proteins, the organic fruits and vegetables, and the healthy fats as a 3-in-1 smoothie. But I think there's tremendous value with adaptogens, but we really want to be careful with kids, especially because the government is very careful with the way they protect kids in marketing. So I would say stay tuned. We're probably not doing that anytime soon, but as people are turning more to whole foods and fruits and vegetables, there may be an opportunity down the road. But right now, we keep it only in Shakeology.
I love it. Okay, final question, then we will let you go. Thank you so much for your time. When someone comes to you and is wondering what Shakeology is, what is your elevator 30-second pitch on how to explain Shakeology?
Absolutely. Well, I got to say, his daily dose of dense nutrition, whoever nailed that line, it was Carl, I guess. We hit it on the head. I think that's the perfect pitch if I'm talking about something for 5 seconds. But in terms of, let's say I've got someone in the elevator, I always try and cover the basics. The clean protein, which a lot of folks are not eating, the low sugar, the sustained energy, but usually I try and go right to results. I ask people, when I talk to my patients, I say, do you line up at a coffee house like Starbucks at 9:30 in the morning? And everyone's like, yeah. How did you know I'm doing that? I was like, because every American, Canadian, and British person is doing that, because most people eat a typical Western breakfast, high in carbohydrates, and they dip down around 9 a.m. and they need a big shot of caffeine. Or moms who are taking their kids to school, they may need some caffeine or some kind of kick. The reason why we feel so good when we drink Shakeology is that blend brings that sustained energy. It gets you going to the bathroom on a regular basis. It keeps the sugar really low. And then, of course, you start noticing all these phenomenal things. Like your skin may feel more glowing, and you may feel like you just have more energy and you think clearer. But a lot of that is because of the proprietary blend of all those nutrients. So I would first, if you're doing an elevator pitch, I would ask the person, what are you looking for? Are you looking for more energy? Are you looking for going to the bathroom on a regular basis? Are you looking for recovery from your exercise? Do you want to rest and sleep better after you've exercised? That's where I approach it first from the results, and then Shakeology usually fills all those gaps. So I'm kind of taking it sort of from a backwards approach there, Brigitte, but I would say if you're talking to someone, find out what they are looking for and then address their need states. And Shakeology usually takes care of so many things.
I love that answer, and I've actually never heard someone else give that response, even though I've heard other people's elevators pitch for Shakeology. But the fact that you wanted to turn that around and say, I first need to find out what's important to the person I'm talking to. Like, that is gold and such an important thing for all of us to remember, because we can spiel all of the things that don't matter to them, but we have to find out what they care about. So this was a phenomenal call. Thank you so much for taking the time to be willing to do this. I am going to blast you in the roundtable so all of the coaches can know what a phenomenal person that you are and resource that we have here on the team. Thank you so much for being willing to do this and for your time. I know everyone's blowing up the chat and saying thank you so much. And
anytime, Brigitte, anytime you guys want to do more training calls, I know that Carl, Michael Neiman, we are now aligned with the network. So we work very closely with you all and all of your network colleagues out there in the region. So we want to continue doing these calls. We can train on any types of products you guys like, anything that helps you. And I would just put a 10-second pitch in for the bars that are coming soon. Get ready, because these are going to be so phenomenal. 10 grams of protein, 4 grams of fiber. I don't want to sound like a salesman, but just the way we talked about the shape, the performance line, in Daily Sunshine, the bars are going to fit right into your programs in the same way. You guys are going to sell a ton of these bars because they're so delicious, and they're going to be really easy to talk to customers about. So I'm pretty excited for them.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much for throwing that in there. Should have asked you some questions on it, but that's perfect. So, all right. I have this call recorded, everyone. Thank you all for tuning in, and I will share the recording link in the team page. Thank you, everyone.